Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number 7512-H-603 louver door gravity pivot set and a hold open version, steel base and zinc plated. Okay, I'm going to give you a tour of all the parts. First of all, you know what, let's work from our top down. Here is your top jam bracket with the bushing, and here's your door portion, and that normally sits like this. Let's get some dimensions up. Well, you know what? Yeah, let's get some rough dimensions as we're going along here. Overall height of that bracket's about an inch and 3/4, with a width about an inch and 1/4, and then a projection about an inch and 7/8. Door bracket, just rough dimensions because they're really all called out on the links below this video, but about 2 1/8, about 7/8, inch and 5/16. Your bottom jam bracket, inch and 1/4, inch and 3/4. Stop there with the dimensions because they're all called out. Now here is the door portion, okay? It sits inside of the receiver here. And what makes this a hold open version versus the non-hold open version, or just the unit that doesn't have the H in the part number, is the fact that that miter is squared off at the end, okay? So what happens with this flattened off area, which it's the same preparation inside of here, is that when the door is pushed to basically 90 degrees in either direction, that flattened end will just rest on the flattened end inside of the receiver. So when you push the door, it will just, via gravity, close itself, or self-center. Okay? So the 7512 and the 7512H, same model, just hold open, and not with the H model. They're not spring-loaded, they're just gravity controlled. They're self-closing based on gravity. For louver doors, generally, they are double-acting. The hold opens do hold open at 90 degree, and they're available in several different finishes. Your prime coat, your black Japan, obviously your zinc, your brasses, your bronze finishes, your chrome finishes, polished and satin, oil rub bronzes. Bommer can even do less common finishes as well. You know, a blackened brass, things of that nature, but those are generally outside of the realm of typical items. So maximum door width, they're looking at 30" for what this is engineered for, and is going to be best used with doors that are between 7/8 an inch and 5/8 thick, doors up to 50 pounds, so that's pretty substantial in terms of what it's engineered to handle. And the standard packaging is going to include those 4 primary pieces that we've talked about, your jam brackets and your door portions, and then of course a package of screws, and those will be in a complementary finish. The rest of this video is going to discuss installation, door preparation and installation. Now, moving forward with the installation aspect, what we are looking at here now is a link below this video to 2 documents, or 2 links I should say. One is called template and the other is called instructions. And they're actually both necessary. With the instructions being the primary document, okay, at least where we'll start. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's pull up the link to the installation instructions and let's start from there. So in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to have a link, you're going to have a box called Parts, and we've gone over that pretty much. Your top bracket, your bushing is already included, your top pivot, your bottom pivot, your cylinder and cam, and it's already assembled. Your square drive, bottom bracket with a star-shaped hole, and then of course the nut. I'm going to leave those disassembled. Step 1, fasten bottom bracket to the jam. The bottom bracket can be installed either in this orientation or in this orientation. Doesn't really matter. Quite frankly, I see them primarily installed this way. Doesn't matter. Okay. The crucial concept, though, is that they are plumb, the brackets. The center line of those holes must be completely plumb. Okay, that's crucial. Step 2, fasten the bottom cylinder into the bottom bracket. Set the square drive into the square hole located in the bottom bracket. Okay, so the crucial part of getting the cylinder and cam installed is that flattened off area there, right at the tip of my finger, needs to be directly positioned to the back side of the jam bracket so that it looks like this. Okay, you can set that in obviously because it's square in a star situation, but you're just going to set it so that it's straight. Okay, you get that positioned in there. You're going to install the nut, but only hand tight. Don't need to have it any tighter than that. There are plastic pieces in there that you don't want to rupture by putting a large wrench onto it. Quite frankly, hand tight is all you need. It's not going to move. Maybe just 1/50th of a rotation for tightness at the most. Now, step 3. Step 3 is a more technical part of the technical part of the installation. In step 3, right away it says round jam edge of door with a 7/8 radius. Okay. So the bottom line is this. They're expecting that you will be able to radius the edge of your doors, okay, so that it works with the jam bracket. And the reason that that is crucial is because the vertical center, the vertical axis of pivoting and the distance to the jam based on the thickness of the door is such that if my palm is the cased opening frame and my fist is the square cornered door, it would bury into the jam like this if it wasn't radiused over. So the bottom line regarding this is that you need to radius the edge of the door over. If you don't, then what you need to end up doing is building out, and I've seen this done as well, someone will add a block of wood 1/4 inch thick and build everything off the door. Now, a 7/8 radius, that makes for a large round over bit, 1 3/4 round over bit, or something in that range. I suppose it could certainly be a little bit smaller and still work, but that's what they're looking for. And when I've done that sort of work all the time, I would have a router just set up with a large round over bit. But of course, you're dealing with the radius being directly related to the door thickness. So in this case, 7/8 radius, and you would lay your door down flat and put your router down at one end and just carefully bring the router down the edge of the door. And I would always make 2 passes when I would do that, and then take the door over and take the door and flip it over, and then run that pass only twice. And you want to be sure when you get down to the end, you're not pushing the router in, so you're rounding over the bottom or top of the door. But that is the requirement for this sort of situation. Presuming that you can radius it, then you're in good shape. And if you can't, then you have to build it off build the parts off the jam to give yourself a little bit greater space. And while you're doing it, you can, of course, do the same treatment to the opposite side of the door. Now, the crucial part is where the template comes into, is that it gives you the crucial dimension of, looking at the template form now, 5/32 of an inch is what is accomplished between the edge of the door and the jam when you've got it radiused over. Well, it'll give you that margin regardless of it being radiused. But in order for it to operate based on what that's going to accomplish, which we'll get to in the next step, that's the clearance that you're dealing with. Okay, so basically 1/8 of an inch. Once you have the radius done, and here's the other part, you're going to flush your plate to the edge of the door. This is your top plate. you're going to take your bottom and flush that off to the edge of the door. Okay? So, fasten your top pivot. Again, be sure top and bottom pivot are in vertical alignment. They have to be plumb. Fasten the upper cam of the bottom pivot to the bottom of the door, and again, screws are included. Moving to step 4, fasten top bracket, allowing clearance between top bracket and top pivot plate. Be sure that they are in vertical alignment with the bottom bracket. Okay, that's crucial. They've said it 6 times, or several times, I should say. The next reference is in step 4. When this is installed and the door is in the closed position, you're going to need 3/4 inch from the bottom of the top jam bracket and the top of the plate. And that's because as the door operates, it will raise up a little bit. Okay, so that's what that clearance is for. Make sure door is permitted to rise and fall, which is again the point of that. Remember, never over tighten the nut, only hand tight to a snug fit, that's it. That's because again there are plastic pieces in there that could be broken. To help with door alignment, shims may be used on the bottom bracket to help rotate the door in or out. Okay, so what they're saying is literally take this and tip it a little bit if you had to. That's unusual to have to do that. Lower left-hand corner of the installation instructions is a note. The 7512-H with a hold open feature does not require any special installation. The hold open feature is on the cam and holds the door when opened to at least 90 degrees. To release the door, push the door with an easy push. 7512 and 7512-H are double acting and are capable of 180 degree plus opening. It can be marginally greater than 180 degree. Doesn't so much matter. I mean, because your door is sitting out here, by the time you get it rotated out, you'd be able to get it sticking this way a little bit. Now, moving on to, or back to, I should say, the template. The entire top third of it shows all the physical dimensions, so no reason to go over any of that anymore. The left side shows the net result of what everything looks like when it's installed. The right side is the same concept, except that it shows a notch in the bottom of the door to accommodate your lower portion. And while I've seen the doors installed that way, 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 10,000 might be installed that way, and people usually just rest the door right on top. It can be done though, and it does look nicer. However, before you consider doing that, you'll want to consider the makeup of the door construction. Would the door be tolerant of you cutting that much of the door off, 2 1/4 wide and then whatever height? If you've got a style and rail 18-inch louver door, you might not be able to do that because you'd remove a dowel or some other, mechanical means of the door actually being held together, so keep that in mind. That wraps it all up. If you have any questions on the installation aspect of this, feel free to reach out to me. I've installed these plenty of times. The last thing I'd like to point out to you is the Bommer logo, and right above it it says Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. If you have any questions on the Bommer 7512-H-603, and that's a zinc plating, we didn't talk about that. Good for corrosion resistance. If this is a restaurant or something that might get some moisture, this is a great way to go for corrosion resistance, and it certainly emulates a chrome sort of finish as well. That'd be a very good choice. The Black Japan, the 601 finish is also very common. And then of course the 600 finish is just prime coat, so you can paint it to suit whatever you're doing. Any questions on this or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us.